Flow Sports is where you'll find our podcast. You need to get there for the Flow Friday Night Sports Show if you just want to hear us again. And you're only human at the end of the day. By all means, head to our Flow Sports website and go and check that out on the podcast, Flowman.
Yeah, it's going to be great to see how this develops over time. We've had a lot of requests for Ellis Gellius and Dan Crouch and also for Carl Carrington and the content that they bring us on Friday night to actually be able to hear that elsewhere. So we've created the Flow Sports podcast. And we got to one of our guests who writes for us on Flow News 24. He is on NBA and NBL. Bit of an expert compared to you and I reckon.
A gun.
He's pretty good. Dan Crouch. G'day, Dan.
G'day, fellas. Not sure about expert, but I'll take it.
Well, we're going with it, mate. We're going to start today with NBA, so off to the States we go. And it looks as though the All-Star game has been confirmed. Now, there will be a pre-game three-point shootout as part of this. What else?
Yeah, so they're going ahead with the pre-game three-point shootout and the halftime dunk contest. So normally it would take place over a full weekend, the All-Star weekend, but given the crazy circumstances in America at the moment, it's just going to be a one-day event, which has been met with a bit of controversy. Obviously, a lot of players think they just shouldn't bother, but they're doing it nevertheless. They need the money, so ahead it goes, and I guess as fans, we'll do our best to enjoy it.
Okay. There's plenty of action when we get to that dunking contest. Who would you like to see live? This is just a question to you, Dan, straight on. If you could see the best dunks in the world live, you'd be sitting right there in the front row watching. Who would you like to see dunk?
Well, I would love to see LeBron James. He's obviously never done a dunk contest, which has been one of the great miseries, really, of his career. One of the big things we've missed out on. But I'd also love to see Zion Williamson in there, and I can't get enough of the Aaron Gordon, Zach LaVine dunk contest rivalry. So them will be a lot of fun as well.
Excellent. Let's go back to the action at Clubland, Utah. They've won 20 out of 21, and they don't just sneak over the line, the Jazz. They absolutely blow out the opposition, as we just saw recently. They are on a tear.
They are on a tear. Their season they're putting together a historically good season at the moment. They started out a bit rocky. They went win-loss, win-loss, win-win, loss-loss to be 4-4. And then they reeled off 11 straight wins, one more loss, and then they've won 9 since then. So often you see a team have a win streak, and once it gets broken, they kind of start, going a bit win-loss again. But they had their win streak snapped, and they've just kept on winning. And only, I think, 2 of those games in those 20 out of 21 wins have been by single digits. So they really have just been pulverising opponents, and they're showing no signs of slowing down. So really, really interested to see how they go as the season progresses, because, like I said, they're just not looking like slowing down at the moment.
All right, talking about not slowing down, the 76ers, one of the star players is the Australian Ben Simmons. Now, he's been criticised a little in his early part of his NBA career about not scoring enough and perhaps being more of a defensive player. But he's nailed it with 42 points, if you don't mind, from the Aussie.
Yeah, he had an absolute outburst earlier in the week with 42 points, a massive career high, and it's great to see. Because, you're right. He often does get criticised for not getting his own basket enough, not looking to score enough, and setting up others a bit too much, which to me is a bit ridiculous because there's no such thing as too much setting up your teammates. But, great to see him getting out there and playing aggressive. 42 points against the Jazz, which is arguably the best defensive team in the league. We were just talking about how good they are. So, really good to see that from Ben Simmons.
No doubt. The Lakers, they're down at half-time. I'm not sure. I haven't seen the end score there, but the last score I did see, they were down at half-time. Anthony Davis, of course, out of action now at the moment with an Achilles injury, and that does seem to be weighing them down a little bit at the moment, Dan.
It does. It was a bit of an unfortunate series of events there for the Lakers, a bit of a scare as well. He'd missed 2 games with a sore Achilles, came back in and went off limping horribly, clutching the Achilles, and you can't help but think back to Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, and all the other great players that have torn their Achilles. And so often players don't come back very well from Achilles injuries. So really, really a big release to find out that it's only a minor one and he'll miss a couple of weeks. But nevertheless, a big blow for the Lakers who will want to be chasing Utah in the standings and getting that top spot. So they don't have too much margin for error with the way Utah are playing. But with LeBron James still healthy and on the court, I think they'll be just fine.
All right. Now, a lot of players are scoring big, as we said about Ben Simmons, but in one day, 15 players scored 30 points. Now, with this MVP race that's hotting up at the same time, are we seeing the improvement again in the NBA game? Is it possible to improve it, and are these scores reflective of that?
Yeah, definitely. I think the game just gets better and better. There's, players innovate and come up with new moves and new play styles, and the younger generation just copy them. We've heard Kobe Bryant has always said he mimicked his game off Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan said the only guy that could maybe beat him one-on-one is Kobe because Kobe steals all his moves. So we see it all the time, and yeah, I think players are just getting better and better. And like you said yesterday, 15 players scoring 30 points in a single day is just unbelievable, something we probably thought we'd never see. So, really cool to see that. And you're right, the MVP race is really, really getting hot now. There's probably 8 or 9 players who, if they come home strong, genuinely could win the award. But for me at the moment, it's between LeBron James and Embiid before the next little group, but there's definitely plenty that can still win it.
Now, I've got to ask you this, Dan Crouch. I'm going to mention a name of a player, and I want you to just give us your thoughts. Anyway, I know where I'm going with this before I ask it, and I know it's not going to be pretty. Draymond Green, what's going on here?
Yeah, so Draymond Green's very, very controversial. We all know that, and part of his controversy is he speaks his mind, he's brutally honest, and he is a bloody smart fella. So he had a little rant after his game the other day, about player empowerment. Not sure how familiar you may be with the situation, but Cleveland Cavaliers decided they are going to trade one of their star players, Andre Drummond, and as a result of that, they basically said to him, right, until you're traded, you're not going to play any more games with us. So Draymond Green's gone on a rant and said, this is ridiculous. You expect him to be professional, and if he doesn't come out and be professional, the media are going to label him as a locker room cancer and all this. So he's really just gone on a rant about holding teams and organisations to the same players to which the players are held. So, and I couldn't agree more with him. A lot of people don't like hearing it, but the reality is he's right on the money. It's something that needs to be said, and dozens of star NBA players, including LeBron James and James Harden, have echoed his thoughts on social media. So it's really the start of a little movement from Draymond Green, and I think it'll be a fun little one to keep tabs on.
All right, let's get into it really quickly. The NBL, back home we go, and the Melbourne United side got over the Hawks 91-88. It was the Wildcats 106 to beat the Phoenix 75. A win for the Kings over the Breakers 84-74. It was the Bullets 70. It was the Bullets getting 70, 36ers 85 in that game, but then the 36ers lost another game this week to the Bullets. It was 93-74 in the other reverse match. And it was the Kings 85, the 82 to Hawks 85. A good win by the Hawks there. And in the final match, the Phoenix were on song. But let's ask the question. The 36ers have played 9 matches more than anybody else. They've won 5. They're just starting to slip after a really good start. Can you read anything into this, Dan, for the 36ers? Have they just peaked a little early in the season and now they're in the real mess of the middle?
Yeah, they may have, but you can only play the games you play and beat who's put in front of you. And at the moment, very interesting spot in the standings. They've got a 5-4 winning record, but their percentage and their point differential is very, very low. So they are kind of just getting over the line in their wins and getting a little bit blown out in their losses. So it'll be an interesting one to see how it goes for the rest of the year. But as it stands right now, they've got 5 wins, which is the second most in the comp, and the teams below them are going to have to catch them to take their spot in the finals. So, yeah, we'll see how it plays out.
We will. They've played 4 more matches than the Perth Wildcats at the moment, who could actually go past them if they won all of those 4. But they're sitting in 7th spot at the moment, less than 500 winning percentage. They'd want to get a bit of a move on, I think, the Wildcats, but we'll save that one for another day, Dan Crouch. Always great chatting with you, and you can check out Dan's work on flownews24.com.au. Flowman's phone's just gone off in the studio. He owes us both a 6-pack. Dan, are you coming around to collect?
Well, I'm going to have to now.
He will, because he'll be here next week on the Friday Night Sports Show, Dan Crouch, because I'll be on the road, of course, sorting out
in the host chair.
Yeah, he'll be in the host chair, and I'll be on sorting out the Air Peninsula, as you know.
Yes, indeed. Dan, thanks, mate. We'll catch you next week.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.